back. I have another sort of series that I wanted to start that I've been thinking about for a little bit and finally just got around to actually doing. So I've decided to read the Fazbear Frights books, which are like the Freddy Fazbear's novellas that Scott Cawthon has written, kind of co-written with other people looking at the covers and whatnot, but they sounded kind of fun, and since I've been in kind of like a short story kind of mood, they seemed like a great place to be, and it's kind of more enjoyable to me than just reading the like Freddy Fazbear's books, since those in large part sound like they're sort of an alternate universe retelling of the Freddy Fazbear games, whereas the novellas are more like short stories that just take place in that universe. So that sounded more interesting because it's newer content, I guess. So yeah, I got the first book, The Golden Eyes, I want to say, on Kindle. And I've just finished reading Into the Pit, which was the first novella in it, so I thought I'd kind of share some thoughts on that. And then each of the progressive stories that I read, I'll also do a little spiel on, and yeah. So that's kind of how I wanted to set this up, and there are 3 novellas out now, because I think the third one just barely came out like yesterday, so that gives me about 9 stories total so far, and then I think another book comes out in like September, and then maybe one more book after that, or there might be another date in like June and then September, I don't remember. In any case, more novellas will be coming for reviews from me. So let's talk a little bit about Into the Pit. Overall, I thought it was really fun, and I really enjoyed being in the Freddy Fazbear's world in this different kind of format. I had a few little nitpicky things with the writing every once in a while, which I wonder if is more like Scott Cawthon had written a few of these lines himself, and was maybe just really set on them, and his co-writer would have maybe suggested a different phrasing or something, but he was like, no, this is how I want it, so they're just a couple weird phrases. The very first one was on like the first page, and it was, well, I don't guess I can argue with that, whereas the more natural way to say that, I feel like, would have just been, I guess I can't argue with that, instead of, I don't guess I can argue with that. I don't understand the phrasing there. It was really silly and strange. There was also a point where his mom sees him coming in for the morning, and she's like, my rising 6th grader has risen, which I feel like is using the word risen/rising too much. And normally you just say something like, oh, my 6th grader has risen, or my rising 6th grader has entered the room, or something. It's kind of a weird phrase just in general to refer to your child as a 6th grader anyways, I feel like, but there are definitely like less awkward ways I feel like that could have been written. And then at one point too, he had a part where he said that he had his confusing thoughts. And I was like, why would you do that? That's way too redundant to me. I don't see how that emphasis really helps anything. But I mean, otherwise, the story was really fun. I loved the atmosphere of it. It actually really made me want to eat some pizza when he was first talking about Jeff's Pizza and how he loves a nice, like, cheesy slice and stuff. And I was like, ooh, I really want to go get some pizza now. But yeah, it was fun. It really built up the atmosphere well. Before I realized that it was set, like, in modern times, I thought he was going to turn out to be the one who had invented, like, the Fazbear animatronics, because he's been, like, drawing animatronic animals. He really likes the pizza, and the Jeff's Pizza place is kind of run down, so it would make sense that he then like revamps it with these mechanical creatures when he gets older. But as it turns out, it's called Into the Pit because Jeff's Pizza has a ball pit in it that he uses to go back in time to when it was Freddy Fazbear's, which was a fun twist, at least for me, having apparently probably not read the synopsis of the story well. But anyways, so it was really fun. It had a really good atmosphere. I liked the creepy bunny man who comes back into his time, and the ending kind of surprised me because I thought in some ways it was going to be more gory / violent than it was, and then in some ways too, since a lot of the Fazbear stuff feels like it's aimed at kids, I was like, oh, you strangled the giant yellow rabbit. This isn't very kid-friendly at all. But yeah, it was a really fun story, and I was very engaged throughout it all. I'm glad I read it, and I'm looking forward to reading more of these novellas now. And I think they'll be a fun little series for me to kind of be working on and have something to look forward to that way. So yeah, that was kind of my big thoughts on Into the Pit. Yeah, I guess I do have a few other notes that I may as well mention because they were kind of fun. I did appreciate that what drives Oswald to get into the pit in the first place is that he's been having this summer where it's gotten very monotonous. He goes to the library every day, he goes to Jeff's Pizza and eats pizza every day, and he just kind of gets sick of it. And so he's like, I'm going to go into the ball pit and make my dad look for me because I'm sick of everything and I'm grumpy, and he's going to have to do some work too. You know, and I totally related to that, being stuck at home in quarantine, especially having been furloughed now and really having nowhere to go. It's like, oh, I totally get being sick of your routine and wanting just to do something to get out of it. And so I really appreciated that. And yeah, so anyways, that was just kind of another little thought that I had, that I was like, yeah, I totally relate to this kid because quarantine is kind of killing me in some ways right now. But yeah, it was a fun story. I really enjoyed it. If you like Freddy Fazbear's stuff, you'll probably like this too. The writing was overall very good, other than my few minor nitpicky things. And yeah, so I think that's all I've got to say for now, but I hope you'll join me on the rest of my adventures through these silly Freddy Fazbear novellas, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This is the Umlaut Harper signing out.